Spot by PassionPoet. This is a space for intimacy, vulnerability, transparency. A place where we not only talk about eroticism and sex, but we'll also touch on topics that may make you a little vulnerable, a little exposed. However, this is a safe space where you can disrobe and get real. There is no judgment allowed here. So are you ready? Let's get wet. The Wett Spot is sponsored by Passionate Words Editing Services. At Passionate Words Editing Services, words are a writer's currency. We help you spend them wisely. For all your editing, proofreading, transcribing needs, follow at Passionate Words Editing on Instagram. That's at passionate.words.editing on Instagram, or on Facebook on facebook.com/passionate words editing. Let's help you spend your currency well. Follow Passionate Words on Instagram or Facebook now. In this segment, I want you to get comfortable as I read one of my pieces, because the words may move you, they may inspire you. Who knows? They may even get you wet. So sit back and listen. Random thoughts listening to a podcast on a Friday evening. I love you. I mean, I really do. I love the fact that our hearts merge into one heartbeat, and that what we have gets stronger with every single breath we take, loving in stereo. I love you. I mean, I really do. I mean, I love everything about you, from your smile to your teasing to how much you want to stay pleasing me and how much I want to do the same. You are my twin flame. Again and again and again we showcase what love should be, and really, only we have to understand the dynamic of us, even if it looks ludicrous to those looking on. See, I love you. I really do. I mean, I love the fact that you love me too, and that love boggles my mind. I climbed up from the mires of desperation on my own, carved my own throne from the skulls of my enemies, making self-doubt and fear my bitch, bending their knees and realizing that I really am the motherfucking shit. And yes, that I can handle it, but then you came along and dismantled all my defenses and crept into the depths of my heart and made your home permanent. Hell, I wanted to write a nice flowing rhyming spoken word piece, but my words flow freely on this page like the washer on the tap is gone, and the water runs incessantly, daring me to put these words into a box. Quite simply, I can't. I love you. I really do. And that's all there is to it. Welcome again to another edition of the Wett Spot, and this is PassionPoet. If you want to come onto the show or have an interview with me, just hit me up. My IG is @_Bajan PassionPoet _. So there's an underscore before and after the name, Bajan PassionPoet. If you can hit me up, or you can send me a voice note right here on Anchor. So if you have an interesting topic, or you want to just tell me what you think about the episode so far and all that, you can do so. Hit me up or send me an email at PassionPoetBDS@gmail.com. That's PassionPoetBDS@gmail.com. So or you can check. It's just, I think I also have a contact form on my website at PassionPoet.com. So there are many ways you can get hold of me. If you have been following me on Instagram or on Facebook, you can just hit me up a DM or something like that. So there are very many ways of getting hold of me, right? Yeah. So I had a conversation. I had asked people several times, what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to talk about? Somebody mentioned polyamory. Open relationships, and I guess my take on all those things. And so I think I'll talk about that today. First, let's see, what is polyamory? Polyamorous relationships are when you are in love with more than one person. Many, and amorous, many loves, right? It is another form of relating where most people are monogamous, which is, they're in love with one person at a time. It is becoming more popular. Polyamory is becoming more mainstream. And if you've watched Insecure, the second season of Insecure, or She's Gotta Have It, the first season of She's Gotta Have It for sure really got into polyamorous relationships in mainstream on television. Polyamory is legitimate. There are lots of people who have been and are in open relationships. So polyamorous being many loves, an open relationship is basically where you and your partners are open about your wanting to sleep with other people, or be in a relationship with other people. And I guess people had asked me about being in, to talk about it, because I have been openly polyamorous for a very long time. My last relationship was openly polyamorous. We decided to be open. And let me just say too that open relationship and polyamory are slightly different. They're not exactly synonymous. I guess you could say that open relationships are a subset of polyamory in a sense, but polyamory, like I say, is many loves. Open relationship is when you are open. You are open to sleeping with more than one person. But the difference is that a polyamorous relationship is, well, there are many. Let me say too that there are different forms of polyamory. So based on what I have read, there are many flavors of polyamory where you can have open. It could be free and open to the point where it looks like you're some people call it single poly, where you you are the single person, and you sleep with multiple people, which basically looks like what single people do: sleep with different people, dating different people all at once. There is excuse me, there is also the hierarchical polyamory, where there's one central person in your life called, most people, I myself call that person the primary, and then there's multiple secondary relationships, and they're different forms. You can research it. There are books all over the place. More than one. I have to think of. I'll go and look up the authors' names, and post them. And post them on IG, as a subsidiary, as a supplement. I think the word is supplement to this podcast. But yeah, so there's many different forms of polyamory. Like I said, people have asked me to get into it because I myself have been polyamorous and open, and I'm currently in an open relationship. So what's it like to be poly, to be open? For me is a sense of freedom. My partner, my primary partner, loves me unconditionally, and I am totally feel at home and at peace because she accepts me for who I am. And it's not it's for what it means is, well, let me start by saying my previous relationship, where I'd actually been married to my primary partner at one point. Not the one I'm dealing with now, but the one before. My ex-wife and I got into a polyamorous relationship because we lived in two separate islands. Right, we lived in two separate islands, and I felt the need that, because she's never been in a long distance relationship before, that I felt like it was best for us to open up the relationship so that she would have her physical needs met, as well as have the the emotional needs met by the relationship with me. That worked out for a while. When we broke up, it didn't have anything to do with being polyamorous or anything like that. That part of our life was pretty set, and we were comfortable in that situation. I can remember that whenever people talked, whenever relationships came up, and and I told people I was polyamorous, it had a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions, and people were asking a lot of, like, what does that entail for you? Why go down this road? And for a long time, I was really, I can say I was I was an advocate. I was an advocate for it. Let me pause to say here that last week, that those ambient sounds of the roosters crowing and stuff like that, you have heard all throughout the time that I've started this podcast. And at first I was like concerned. At first I was concerned, trying to figure out how to get the rooster out of the background and stuff like that. But for one, I've always said that you're waking up in the wet. You're waking up in the wet spot. So that rooster sort of brings out that whole concept of waking up. But also, and this is definitely a tangent. I'm going to get back to the polyamory part. But also, the rooster is a part of my life, right? So much so that my partner and I call him the colonel. They call him the colonel. So I laughed when I told her that the colonel wanted to be introduced. to the audience by pushing his nose in, and he had something to say while I was in the middle of my podcast. She said yes. She laughed. She said yes. You got to introduce the people to the Colonel. So this is my introduction of the Colonel introducing the Colonel into the Wett Spot family. Yeah. So you will hear him pontificating in the background while I speak. So yes, that is just that's a divergent. So anyhow, back to polyamory. Back to my ex-wife and I, like I said, were living in separate islands, and I said to her, I want you to be comfortable. You've never had an open long distance relationship before, and it is very difficult for us to find the money to see each other for long periods of time. So we decided to open up, and it was actually it actually helped the relationship for a while, because it was that I knew that she was sleeping with especially this one particular guy. But it was not a problem for me. Yes, I had to deal, as most people have to deal with, bouts of jealousy from time to time, because it's human. You're feeling, and of course you have been conditioned into that, saying that monogamy is the only way to live. People are saying, you grew up with the programming that monogamy is the only way to live, and then you realize that you're going into this different paradigm. So not only do you have to defend, in a sense, I was saying that I felt like I was an advocate for polyamory. So every time people ask me questions, I would be very easily. It was easy for me to jump in and give my opinion, say yes, I'm proudly polyamorous and proudly open, and this is how my partner and I live, my wife and I want to live. I felt I had no problem defending it, no problem. But over the years, I felt like I got tired having to repeat myself over and over and over again. And to be honest, it took me such a long time to bring this topic up, because I no longer talk about it to most people, because I just feel like it ain't your business. I honestly instead of being proud, and well, not that I'm not proud about it, if you understand. It is who I am at the moment. It is who I am. I'm not ashamed of it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't see why I have to get myself into unnecessary debates about my life choices. If you don't appreciate it or think it's weird, then that's at you. How I feel, how I choose to live is my decision. So that's how I've been feeling. But that being said, it is a legitimate lifestyle choice, and for those who are interested, you can go into understanding, researching what may make someone tick who is polyamorous, what may give them what may make them go into that role, and maybe just like how people have chosen, a lot of people are choosing different lifestyle choices these days. People are choosing, and people are defining themselves in different roles. People who are feeling themselves to be fluid, feeling themselves and transgender and all these different things. And if you want to put it that way, this is another one of those lifestyle choices that is going against the grain of, if you want to say, what traditional society expects. But yeah, I mean, it is And as I say, it brings up, you do get jealous from time to time. You gotta. But for me, what it does is that it helps you to turn inward. It helps you to mature, right? It helps you to mature, because what it is that you can't blame your other partner or partners for your feelings. You have to own your feelings. You have to own how you feel and dig deep and to find out why you feel the way you feel. And to me, it gives a sense of maturity into the relationship, because normal relationships, or all relationships, grow and are sustained by communication. But to be quite honest, in my humble opinion, polyamory is such that you have to have a deeper level of maturity. You have to have a deeper understanding of yourself, because you have to dig deep. When you feel negative feelings, you have to find out why you feel them and get to the bottom of it, because you have to do the inner work. You can't put your feelings of insecurity or of the fact that you are going against the traditional programming that you've grown up in onto your other partners. You gotta figure out for yourself why you feel the way you feel. For me, it has made relationships that much more dynamic. It's made the relationships much more, I wouldn't even say challenging, although it is to a certain extent. I don't think I would say challenging. I would say that you have to, you grow up more, you grow up faster, because I find, when I was dealing with a monogamous relationship, because that's the norm, it's easy to hide your feelings. It's easy to explain away your feelings. But for me, being in a relationship where you have a primary relationship, and then you and that primary relationship have decided that there is you have to set boundaries. Then you have to set boundaries for how this is gonna work, so that you can be comfortable, so that your partners can be comfortable. Because it's not to be, poly is not for cheating purposes. You can't say you're a poly and your partner does not know. You can't say you're a poly but you're cheating and sliding into somebody's DMs and nobody is the wiser. You can't be saying that you're a poly and there's this level of what the word I'm looking for? Dishonesty, basically, right? The whole point of being polyamorous is open for people. For me, isn't about open legs, ain't about open sexuality, it's about open communication, it's about being open and honest. Authenticity, for me, it brings a level of authenticity to the situation, because for it to work, everybody has to be on board. Everybody has to know what's going on. Everybody has to be okay with it, which means there's a lot more communication. I saw in one of the poly groups that I follow on Facebook, somebody half joked and said, it's not poly until there's a shared Google Calendar. Where everybody, where everybody knows everybody's schedule, so they would know who's going to go with who at what time and all this, So to be honest, polyamory brings a level of authenticity. To me, it's not polyamory if you can't be open and honest. And that's my main, because people try to people try to say that polyamory is all about and only about sex. That's so not true. You got multiple. I coined the phrase, and I said is relationship management. I used to say a lot more in the past that polyamory was relationship management. Because you gotta manage your relationships with all these different people, and you have to find common ground, And I'm gonna try to get hold of a friend of mine who also is polyamorous and is also, but she's, you know, she deals with a lot of feminine, she deals with a lot of feminine, she does a lot of feminine healing work and stuff like that as well. So I will want to speak to her. I actually decided to myself that I would talk about this today, but honestly, polyamory was the wet spot topic when I interviewed her. That was what I wanted to get into. Once we started speaking about who she was and her stuff, then get into like what her thoughts about polyamory. So maybe this is poly part 1, and maybe I can get hold of her and see if we can have a conversation about polyamory and what she's getting into as well. So I'm gonna see if I can get hold of her. I'm not gonna officially call this poly part 1 and then see if I can get hold of her and put it poly part 2, only because schedules may not permit me to put her on next week, but we will see. This is definitely a talk about poly. This is definitely a talk about getting into open relationships and stuff like that. Now, I will say, ending off shortly, but I will say it's not for the faint of heart. It is not it's not something that you get into lightly. It is not easy. It's not easy. Currently, I try to, basically speaking, how I deal with it now in my current relationship is that I focus on her as my queen. So in a sense, she is my, not in a sense, she is the primary. But what will happen is that because she accepts me for who I am, she knows, because of who I am, there's a lot of communication in my inbox and stuff like that. And I know she's come to grips with all of that. But for me, I respect her. So what happens is, if I want to step up, I actually just discuss it with her beforehand, and I say, I'm feeling the need for some, feeling the need to step up a bit or whatever, and there's a communication going on before that happens. So like I say, for poly for me is all about communication, all about authenticity, and so I'm just wanting to big her up in a special way, and all the others that I speak to that we have a thing going for. We have a thing. I feel love, and the thing about polyamory for me is that love expands. And the way I explain it, another way I explain it is like when you get a child. I have 2 kids. I have 2 sons. When I got my first son, love expanded. The family unit now expands to 3 people. And then, you have this new person, this new person coming. 2 people, this new person comes in, this little person. And my love expands. When I got my second son, did my love shrink from my first son? No, it expanded. It made it. It got bigger. And this basically is maybe a crude analogy, but that's basically how I feel when it comes to love. Love expands. Now, is there a way? Do people have special? Is it that, is everybody loved the same way? No, not really. I mean, love is love, but at the same time, you understand that in my personal worldview and how I deal with it, there is one queen. It can't be 2 queens. I tried having 2 queens and 2 in the same spot, and it didn't work. There is one queen in my life. Other people have different shades of polyamory where everybody's on the same level. I personally can't do that. I tried it. It doesn't work for me. But everybody deals with it differently. I just want to big up every single person who is listening to this podcast, who feels loved by someone. You know what I mean? Whether it's one person or multiple people, who feels a sense of love and commitment, because to be quite honest, that is what is going to make this world go around in a special way. Anyway, I've been rambling. I just wanted to start off and just have something posting for this week, and I knew that polyamory was something that somebody had asked me to speak on, my thoughts on it. So you can tell me what your thoughts are. What do you feel about it? How do you feel about it in your life? Do you practice polyamory? Do you practice open relationships? Do you feel you're just single and carefree and you don't have any labels or anything like that? Well, what do you feel about your relationship? What's your relationship style? What's your love style? I love that. Coin that phrase. I saw that phrase online somewhere. What's your love style? Let me know. Hit me up in the DMs, respond, do a voice note, and just let me know how you feel, right? So this is Passion Poet. We've been talking polyamory of relationships. I've been rambling for a bit, but I just want you to just enjoy your day. Thank you for being a part of the Wett Spot. Again, if you want to contact me, you can do so via my website, PassionPoet.com. You can do so via my Instagram, which is PassionPoet, Bajan Passion Poet with an underscore in front and behind underscore Bajan Passion Poet underscore. I like having communication. I like having dialogue with you. So, hit me up, just DM me somewhere. I talked about WhatsApp. If you're interested, you can DM me and I'll give you the number to my WhatsApp, so you can contact me there too if you don't already have it. But yeah, just be well, okay? Have a great day, and let's wake up in the Wett Spot for another week. See ya. Thank you for joining me on the Wett Spot. My name is Passion Poet. You can find me on Instagram at Bajan Passion Poet. BAJANPASSIONPOET. Bajan Passion Poet. Or on my website at PassionPoet.com. I hope to see you next time.